In this video, we're going to take a look at a green ink by Akkerman, their number 28. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the green ink playlist, so if you want to see more of them, you can find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample, 90 GSM Clairfontaine. Almost forgot my name. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen, great shading all the way through, all of it. In the stub, amazing. Extra fine, amazing. It's like camouflage all the way through. Medium, camouflage, amazing. The extra fine took 7 seconds to dry. The medium took 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows great color variation because it's awesome in the writing. And the smear test, I do not think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Waterman graduate with a fine nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We're really not seeing shading in any of the writing. The extra fine's a whole lot lighter than the stub. The medium is about the same tone as the stub. Our extra fine took 11 seconds to dry, while our medium took 18 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both does show a tiny bit of color variation, but it's really not happening in the writing, and the smear test, you can't recover if you smear while you're writing. I'm going to back up because I'm going to say that stub is showing off some halo that I wasn't seeing before. Really through a lot, almost all of it. How did I not see it? I don't know, but great halo going on with the stub. Bravo. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see it's immediately moving up away from where that water was. It's really a very bright yellow and almost a highlighter type of turquoise at the top, making this an amazing green. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's put into water. And the thing is, it looks exactly the same. And I'm not expecting any resistance from this ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do have some light shading going on in the medium. Occasional spots of shading in the extra fine, like the K in quick or the he in the. Lazy becomes very light. I really don't like it here with the extra fine. The medium, or the stub is showing a very nice shading. It's also showing some halo in the Ks. That's the only halo we see here. No spread or sheen. Yeah, that's where we're at. I know I butchered this one. I am really getting used to this new system. The extra fine is 5 seconds to dry. The medium is 9 seconds to dry. The scrubby both show good color variation, although it's not nearly very good at all in the extra fine. And the smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on a page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is quite a bit of ink that's moving when we do it, especially in the lowercase h and on the left side of the uppercase h. Now, you can completely read everything that's there, meaning it could be safe to use in a note-taking situation, but I wouldn't. Water is reactivating and lifting a lot of it, really moving it around, but there's a lot of ink still left there. Pen flush does everything that water does and nothing more. It did only take water to get it out of my pen, and the 1/3 bleach solution, you're not going to need it, but it destroys this ink. The next writing sample is done on Moji paper. No bleeding and no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, which is already very light. It's like I'm writing with a highlighter here with these two. At least the medium got much darker. The extra fine took 3 seconds to dry, although I wouldn't want to see notes like that. The medium took 5 seconds to dry. This looks very pleasant. The scrubby for both show plenty of color variation, but we're really not getting it in the writing. And the smear test, you couldn't recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Akkerman's number 28 has a viscosity of 2.27, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity tests are done or any of that, then down in the description is a link to that video. The next writing sample is done on moleskin paper. Now we have a couple of spots that just show themselves through with the extra fine, but I really do think this is perfectly good if you were using an extra fine on this because it's not going to ruin your using the back of the paper. Medium, you can't use the back of the paper. It bleeds quite a bit in, not all the way through, not touching the page underneath. Overall, I want to say it's very good here. There's a lot of feathering that's going on in the medium and in the extra fine. There's a lot more in the medium. Now the medium is also much easier to read than the extra fine, which is much lighter than it. There's no halo sheen, no shade, there's no spread. 2 seconds to dry for the extra fine. The scrubby shows no color variation, we're not getting it. And the smear test, you couldn't recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time is 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Akkerman's number 28 had an average dry time of 10 seconds, making this a faster drying ink. The last writing sample is done on 28-pound copy paper. Now the medium has a bunch of bleed that's coming very heavy into the paper, but it's not going all the way through and touching the page underneath. The extra fine, you don't have a problem using the back of the paper. Looking at both of them, there is a bunch of feathering that's going on in the medium. It's really tiny feathering in the extra fine, much more manageable in the extra fine than it is in the medium. The medium has a little bit of spread. So does the extra fine. The extra fine becomes about a fine. The extra fine is a little lighter than the medium. Neither of them have halo sheen. Neither of them have shade. The extra fine took a second to dry. Shows color variation in the scrubby, but not in the writing. And the smear test you could definitely recover because you can't smear it. Instead of finding inks that look like Akkerman's number 28, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a black ink from Birmingham Pen Companies, their Edgar T. Steel Works Coal Black. If you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those playlists. So what do I think of Akkerman's number 28? Here is a very bright green with tons of shading. This is not too bright for a page of writing like I thought it would be. It was a happy surprise. A color very worth the price of a bottle. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? I really did not like its lightest tones. That can happen from finer pens or drier pens. You really need a wet to medium flow, medium or broad pen to make sure it's dark enough to get a really good color, and you're going to get some very nice shading when you get it. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Noodler's Burma Road Brown.